Stem cell treatments, with their promises of boosting health, are not yet approved by the Food and Drug Administration. But this hasn't stopped Americans from traveling abroad to get them done. Now, hundreds of clinics across the U.S. are offering them as well, but are they operating legally? Here to discuss is WSJ Health and Science Editor Melinda Beck and Michael Werner, Executive Director of the Alliance for Regenerative Medicine in Washington, D.C. Thanks to both of you for joining us. Melinda, let me start with you. Many top stem cell scientists say these clinics are charging thousands of dollars for snake oil and are asking the FDA to crack down. How are clinic operators responding to this?
So, Tanya, a lot of the clinics are taking the position that they don't need FDA approval because they're not really dispensing new drugs. They're just giving patients back their own cells. And in truth, the law is kind of murky right now because the science and the technology is moving a lot faster than the regulators can keep up with. So a lot of this will be discussed at a big FDA meeting next month.
Certainly fascinating. And Michael, first off, tell us about stem cells. We know they offer enormous promise to scientists in many fields, but what do they specifically promise patients in terms of health and regeneration?
Well, scientists have been able to show for quite some time that stem cells hold the promise of repairing or regenerating cells and tissue that have been damaged or disabled due to disease or disability or injury. And we've seen this over and over again, not just in the lab, but now we have lots of programs that are in clinical trials that have been able to really start to show that we're talking about the possibility of addressing many, many unmet medical needs, diseases in cancer, diseases in neurodegenerative diseases, and the like. So the potential for these kinds of treatments or for stem cells to really lead to a paradigm shift in medical care in the United States and around the world is not just theory anymore, it's very real.
So, as you say, the potential is enormous, but is the problem that at this point it's also largely untested?
Well, I think that we have to know that there's many products that are currently in clinical testing. So there are many regenerative medicine products that are on the market now around the world that have undergone sufficient testing for their safety and for their effectiveness. So there's multiple products on the market now. And as I mentioned, there's over 700 in clinical trials now in the US. And I should say about half, a little more than half of those are in mid to late stage trials, which means that in the coming years, we're going to see more and more of these products becoming available to patients.
It's certainly exciting. But Melinda, some of these renegade clinics are charging upwards of $20,000 for what are still unproven treatments. So do we know what kinds of results they've been getting so far?
Not with the kind of scientific certainty that we're used to with new drugs and new treatments. And there is kind of a disconnect between the kinds of clinical trials that Michael Werner is talking about and what these clinics are offering now and charging patients for. In most clinical trials, you don't charge patients and you wait and you announce the results until they're all peer-reviewed and very carefully vetted. And these clinics are not doing that. They're saying, hey, we know enough about how these work. We don't really need to know everything. Let's just go do it now. And that's really rattling a lot of serious scientists.
So, Michael, what do you think about that? Is there room for a middle ground for patients with the will and the means who want to try these treatments, knowing full well that they're unproven and there may be risk involved?
Well, there are already programs available if, for example, there's no alternative for you and you want to get access to a drug that's currently unapproved. The FDA and the regulated industry already have programs that allow you to do that, albeit in a somewhat controlled setting because of the reasons that Melinda pointed out, which is that otherwise we don't really know. We don't have a great sense of the safety and effectiveness of these treatments. And so it's really kind of irresponsible for us to be on a widespread scale providing treatments to patients that aren't safe and aren't effective, and at least haven't been proven to be so. And that's really the basis of our clinical trial system. So the answer really is to make that system more efficient and more effective so approved products can get out, tested products can get to patients in a more expedited manner.
And Melinda, as you said earlier, the FDA has scheduled meetings quite soon to address all of this, correct? Do you think we'll see some resolution in the days ahead?
And not in the days ahead. I don't think there are many different facets to this. It will probably be months before these definitions are more solid, and this is going to continue to be a moving target as the science evolves.
All right, thank you, Melinda, Beck, and Michael Werner, for joining us today.